He was loved by his people. He was praised by his people. He was even called a hero, a love, well deserving. Before he came to power, Libya was nothing but a poverty-stricken desert in the Middle East. Not necessarily poor, because underneath Libyan soil lies something that is scarce: oil. Oil that makes billions of dollars for foreign corporations. Gaddafi came and stopped this exploitation and made Libya the envy of the world. Libya became a paradise, a heaven on earth, but this paradise was burned into ashes after Gaddafi, once called a hero, was overthrown, beaten, and killed by the people he once bragged that loved him.
But then
They love me, all my people with me. They love me all.
they do love you.
They will die to protect me, my people.
The death of Gaddafi was the beginning of the endless conflicts in Libya that has brought the country to its knee. This leaves us with one question: was Gaddafi killed to make Libya more prosperous or to destroy it?
Born in a Bedouin tent, came to power in a coup, and for more than 40 years, Muammar Gaddafi has stood as one of the most bizarre characters on the world stage.
Before Muammar Gaddafi ever rose to power, Libya's story was one of foreign rule, forgotten people, and sudden wealth that never reached the ordinary citizen. For centuries, Libya was part of the Ottoman Empire. In 1911, Italy invaded and claimed the land. After the end of the Second World War, Libya was split between British and French. But in 1951, something historic happened. Libya became the first country created by the United Nations. A monarch, King Idris I, was crowned. At independence, Libya was among the poorest nations in the world, a barren desert with little education, no infrastructure, and an economy dependent on foreign aid. This was the fate of Libya until oil was discovered in 1959. With this oil, Libya transformed from poverty to potential riches. But this wealth flowed not to the people, but to King Idris, his royal cycle, and foreign companies. By the late 1960s, King Idris had lost touch with his people. He was aging, distant, and more comfortable abroad than his own country. While Libya's wealth poured into the pockets of oil companies and privileged elites, ordinary Libyans remained trapped in poverty. When the winds of change started blowing across the Arab world, the Libyan people were taking note. The fiery speeches of Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser inspired a new generation of Arab youths. They dream of unity, independence, and freedom from Western domination. On the night of September 1st, 1969, Muammar Gaddafi, who was just 27 years old, led a group of other young officers and overthrew King Idris in a bloodless coup. Libya moved from being a monarchy to an Arab republic, and Gaddafi became the head of state. As the head of state, Gaddafi expelled all Western military bases, seized control of oil, and declared that Libya's wealth would belong to its citizens. To the Arab world, Muammar Gaddafi was the new Nasser, a revolutionary voice against imperialism. But to the West, he was a dangerous unknown. In the 1970s, Muammar Gaddafi presented the world with his vision. He called it the Green Book. To him, it wasn't just a book, it was a revolution. In the first part of this Green Book, Gaddafi attacked Western democracy, calling it a fraud. To him, parliaments, political parties, and elections were nothing more than tools for the rich and powerful. Instead, he offered what he called direct democracy. Ordinary citizens, not just politicians, would run the state through people's committees and popular congresses. He called this new system Jamahiriya, the state of the masses. The second part of this book was about economics. He condemned both capitalism and socialism, calling wages a form of modern slavery. In his world, nobody should work for a boss, pay rent, or own interests. Workers should own what they produce, and wealth should stay in the hands of the people. In the third part of this book, Gaddafi spoke on social life, family, education, and women. He argued that men and women were equal but had different natural roles. He promoted tribal traditions and Arab unity while pushing back against Western influence. It was a mix of progress and conservatism designed to reshape Libya's culture under his rule. The Green Book was the foundation of Gaddafi's third international theory, a supposed third way beyond capitalism and communism. He wanted to inspire not just Libya, but all of Africa, the Arab world, and liberation movements worldwide. In Libya, the Green Book wasn't just optional, it was everywhere, in the schools, workplace, and public space. People studied it. It became the ideological backbone of the Libyan state. But the reality was different. While the book spoke of people ruling themselves, true power still remained in the hands of Gaddafi. Gaddafi didn't just ban political parties. He dealt with oppositions, and his secret police silenced critics at home and abroad. By the early 1980s, Gaddafi had made himself one of the most feared and controversial leaders on earth. He poured Libya's oil wealth into supporting rebel groups around the world, from the Irish Republican Army in Europe to Palestinian fighters in the Middle East to revolutionary movements across Africa. The United States and Britain called it terrorism. Gaddafi called it liberation. The West branded him a sponsor of terrorism. US President Ronald Reagan called him the mad dog of the Middle East. Gaddafi was linked to many terror attacks that happened in the 80s. He was sanctioned and Libya was cast into isolation. And this global isolation affected the Libyan economy. By the 1990s, this isolation became unbearable to the people of Libya. It was at this point that Gaddafi decided to change course. He reached out to the West and announced that Libya would abandon its weapons of mass destruction program. Almost overnight, Gaddafi's image shifted. The mad dog was now shaking hands with world leaders. Tony Blair met him in a desert tent. Nicolas Sarkozy welcomed him to Paris. Even Washington began to engage. Sanctions were lifted. Oil flowed again. Foreign investment returned. For a brief moment, Gaddafi looked like a redeemed statesman. But inside Libya, nothing had changed. His rule remained absolute. Critics were silenced. Oil wealth enriched the regime and its ally far more than the people. Discontent steamed quietly, waiting for a spark. That spark came in 2011 during the Arab uprising, a protest that started in Tunisia and spread to other Arab countries. This protest has succeeded in regime change in Tunisia and Egypt. When it got to Libya, Gaddafi, who initially supported the protest, turned back and denounced the protest, sending his forces to suppress it. Many protesters were killed. Slowly, these protests moved from a mere demonstration to a full-blown civil war. It was at the peak of this civil war that NATO got involved. Guess who they supported? The rebel forces who were clamoring for the end of Gaddafi rule. NATO bombed Gaddafi's convoy on 20th October 2011. Although Gaddafi survived this strike, he was later captured alive by rebel forces who later ended his life and his 42-year regime. A couple of days after the death of Gaddafi, US Secretary of State Clinton had this to say.
We came, we saw, he died.
The death of Gaddafi was celebrated by European powers. America got involved with the single reason of trying to protect the lives of the Libyan people who were being slaughtered by Gaddafi. They branded Gaddafi regime as evil. They also promised to stabilize Libyan economy that was already being shaken by multiple sanctions. But after the death of Gaddafi, Libya never got better. It became a world war country with no central government. The country became a shambles with a collapsed economy. So, if the death of Gaddafi didn't make Libya better, does it mean that he was killed by the West to destabilize Libya?
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed reports.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.